Welcome to 100 Gems Podcast, home of the champs. And today we got Coach Darvin and Dr. Robert Pyles. What we're going to be talking about today is dissolving personal and business credit myths. Darvin, Coach, why don't you jump on in, man, and start this conversation off, because you the man. That's the coach.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's the coach in the building. Hey, man, this is going to be a great show today. We're going to try to dissolve these myths that everybody been having in their brain. So we got a great set of myths. After those myths, we're going to do some Q&A. But we got a beautiful audience today. Hey, y'all say what's up to everybody, audience. Hey. Listen up, y'all. It's about to go down. Finances is a very important topic. Getting access is a very important topic. And so before we talk too much, we just gonna go right into it with one of those credit myths. Okay, we're gonna go right into it. So Rob, Pastor, however y'all want to do that, let's start talking about it, and we're gonna get moving, y'all. Let's go.
I think the pastor has started it off though, and one of the first personal credit myth is checking your credit score lowers it. Is that correct, Pastor?
Well, I want to make sure is who checks your score. There's soft pulls and there's hard pulls. So you got to make sure that people that are pulling your credit, you got to ask that question. Secondly, people don't know they pull your credit without you telling them, or they pull your credit and they got goofy. You can tell them, hey, I need y'all to go back in and take it out. And that's one thing, credit checks. When you go to get money, they see it's been checked. If you didn't get the money, then the next person looks at that negatively. So go ahead, Coach.
That's right, man. A great way to look at it, Pastor. Remember, you got soft inquiries and hard inquiries. So you going on like identity IQ, Credit Karma, that don't affect your score. It's called a soft inquiry. And a hard is when you try to do an application for credit. And make sure y'all stay away from the dealership in reference to going there to get a car loan, because a lot of times they pull that credit report 10, 15 times, and now what that does is it lowers the score some. But even more importantly, when you trying to go get that house, or you trying to go get a loan, or some more access in the future in the next month, you kind of gonna be locked out the game. Why? Because you got all those inquiries. So just be careful in that light. So yeah, let's go on to the next one.
Say no more. I see one on here and look, income influences your credit score. Having money influences your credit score.
Right. Now that's real deep there. Like, a lot of people think that, and your credit score really don't have anything to do with how much money you make. Right, my son was 18 and he had a 750, 800 credit score, and he really wasn't making no money. Right now, in some cases, how can somebody kind of tell if you make money from a credit score? Because you have that $1 million home loan on your credit profile. That you paying $5,000, $6,000 a month. That kind of shows the status of a person, although that does not dictate the score, right? The components of credit is what dictate the score. Your payment history dictates your score. How many your payment history, your revolving accounts with the credit cards, inquiries, right? How long, the types of accounts, how many different accounts you have. I got a home loan, student loan, car loan. Those are things that dictate the score, okay?
With that being said, carrying a balance builds your credit.
Well, hold on, Coach. I think the people need to understand that, right? How the algorithm works. So when he say that being a millionaire don't
dictate your credit,
but your credit score. But once they pull your credit score, then they start going to debt ratio. So that lender starts looking at how much money you got. Can you pay me back? So you can have $1 million and have a 500 credit score, or you could be. That's why your credit. You got to make sure that you understand that. Because we can work with people, and you get to a certain point in 6 months or 3 months, if you're not watching it and monitoring it, you know, you be at a 650 and don't know why. But I check my son credit score behind me every month, and I, you know, they heard him Darvin. I got people bill and all that stuff on his credit. I got people.
You know,
go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, that go right into closing old accounts boost your score. You know, when you had a fingerhood account, you know, that's one of the first things, you know, when I was a mortgage broker, I would tell my clients, let's get you a fingerhood account. I want you to go to, what's that store, where you get the furniture and all that?
Rent-A-Center or something.
Rent-A-Center. I'm talking about Rent-A-Center them up. Back then it was good though, you know, because they was doing things. How it affects us now, Coach?
Yeah, so really closing accounts is not a good thing, because remember, payment history is one of the biggest factors in your overall credit scoring. It's 35% of your score. So you really don't want to close accounts. Like sometimes people get a loan and say, hey man, I'm gonna get a loan, I'm just gonna pay it for 2 or 3 months and close it out. That's really not good, right? The longer the better. Now don't get me wrong, it's good from the aspect of you ain't paying interest, and don't have that account no more, but that's not building the score. Right? So closing accounts is no good, even if it's credit cards, even if it's a high interest credit card. Just don't use it, or use it and then pay it in full before the 30 days so you're not paying interest, but don't close it, okay? Because it's very important that, you know, the more you have, the banks are saying, oh, he's managing his profile very good, and that's important.
With that being said, paying off debt removes it from your credit report. I know for a fact that I done paid a couple debts off and still fighting some. I got a couple pieces that I'm still sending letters and contacting folks about. Tell us about that, Coach.
And when he asked that question, I'm looking more like collections and negative debts that's on the credit report. We want to make sure that, you know, when you just pay it, a lot of times they leave it on the report and they'll say paid. So guess what? It's still a collection. So now that, you know, if you go into the bank to try to get a loan or something like, they still see it. Now some may say, okay, well he paid it, so he did well, but it's still there and it still can affect the score. So the most effective way when we're dealing with collections, you want to make sure that you talk to that collection agent and say, if I pay this, I want you to remove it from my credit report, okay? A good 90% of them will do it. Those that don't, you know, you still have to make the decision if you're going to pay it or not. But it's always my advice to just dispute it until it's off the report. And when you get yourself together and you got some money that you want to, you know, settle that debt out with them, you can. But remember that anything on the credit report can be disputed. Right? So if you got negative items on a report, it's the coach's advice to just dispute it every 30 days, right? Y'all say that. Say every 30 days, guys. Every 30 days, you want to just dispute until it's off. Like, there's no reason why we should have bad credit, because all the negatives can come off the report, and then the other side is just making sure you manage, you know, those other things that's on the profile. But, you know, sometimes we make a mistake. You know, I have a cousin here that he went to prison for 13 years, and when he came out, he came to me and I helped him get his profile together. You know, he 2 or 3 houses later. Kendall, you want to stand up, man, for a second? You know, I always put you on blast, but you know, he was in prison for 13 years at the age of 17 or 18, got out right around 30, 31, and you know, he's doing good now, great credit, you know, a couple cars, few houses, he's working, and he's, you know, he in control just because he followed some instructions. So man, we want to congratulate you for, man, keep doing you. But he mentioned to me today that, hey man, I missed the mortgage payment. I said, man, how you do that, man? He said, well, yeah. But he took the initiative to call him and say, hey, I've been paying this mortgage on time for a minute, and they removed it for him. Because that one mortgage payment, what happened? How many points did you lose just for missing that mortgage payment?
It was 122 points.
Yeah. So from the 700 club to probably the 500 club or the low 600 club just from one missed payment. So that's something, guys, that we got to watch out for, is missed payments. But you called the mortgage company. Kind of tell us what happened.
Well, I called the mortgage company and I asked them for. I told them that it was just my first missed late payment, and I asked them for forgiveness, basically a forgiveness opportunity. and they ran my name or whatever, and they seen that it was my first. So they just came back and told me that, you know, they're gonna remove.
Talk up, cuz I know you a little shy. Talk to that mic, boy.
Yeah, he big though. Listen, I bet you ain't nobody gonna mess with it.
Yeah, so basically they gave me the forgiveness of it, and my credit went back up. My credit score went back up. Yeah.
All right, good job, man. Y'all, let's give him a clap for that, man, for taking care of their responsibilities. Okay.
Hey, with all that being said, hey, you put it. All credit repair services can fix your credit score. I gotta say, there's no question about. I think I went through about 2-3 of them. You know, they gave me the pie in the sky. You know what I mean? I was and I really wanted the pie in the sky. I was at the pie in the sky, and didn't get a Louis, and until I got a real clue. Coach Darvin, tell us about the credit service companies, man.
Yeah, so the main thing is just understanding what they're doing, because everybody's philosophy is different. So like, remember this, that from my philosophy when it comes to credit repair or removing negative items is, remember this, that everything can be removed. Any and everything negative can be removed, no matter what nobody say. Now, some credit repair companies' philosophy may be like, I'm only going to dispute this, and this, and not this. So what I want you guys to remember is that everything that's negative should be disputed. So regardless of what that credit repair company say, because some of them will say, and because their philosophy is different, they don't understand that you can dispute a mortgage payment. You can dispute a car loan even if you got the car loan. They're not going to take the car. They're not going to take the house from you. So make sure that you dispute if it's late, because if you don't, it's going to affect the score. Y'all heard what Kendall said, 120 points. If he just accepted that, he can't get no money or no real money, or he going to have high interest rates for the next 2 years. So why would we accept that? So with credit repair companies, if you're going to deal with one, just make sure that they're disputing everything negative. Make sure that they're disputing every 30 days. But I want to arm you guys to dispute yourself. Right? Now, sometimes you can't. You got to have somebody on the job to do it. And if that's the case, make sure they're doing it every 30 days, and make sure that you're doing every item that's on there that's negative. And the best way to do it, in my opinion, the simplest approach is just to have the credit bureaus verify this or remove it. Because according to the law, they have to verify everything that they see on that credit report, right? And so, for example, if Kendall had a car note on his credit report and he was late, the credit bureaus are supposed to verify with, Honda that he has this account, and they don't verify with Honda because verification means that Honda is supposed to send the bureaus, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, the original document that he signed, right? And that's not how they communicate. So because they don't have that original document, they can't verify. So once again, the best approach is to have the bureaus verify this account or remove it. Okay, so I'm not the one that says, hey, just remove this late payment, because now we're saying it's our account. We just was late. So the strategy that I'm saying with verify, most of the time they're going to remove the whole account, but you need that account removed in order for you to move forward and to getting access and to having that better score. Okay, guys, I hope that makes sense.
I think one of the things that to understand when you talk to the business side of it, most people, credit get messed up, not necessarily because they ain't got the money to pay, is because we're not organized, routine, forget to pay, you don't get taken out. So even when if you know you're not the kind of person that's going to make sure them bills sit down and get written out, you might want to have the automatic payment. You want to make sure that at least the minimum amount of payment is being made. So those are things that we run into where you forget, something happened, no matter if you don't have the money or you forgot, it still shows up on your credit report. So you got to make sure, the main thing is that we call a matrix, whether it's your wife or your girlfriend or your aunt, somebody in the family, because you know when you got kids. If you got kids, how many of y'all got kids? How many of y'all had to help y'all kids?
Hey, Pastor, I'm glad you said that because that's one of our questions right there. Young people don't need to worry about credit.
Yeah.
Is that true?
No, because that's what I'm talking about. So either way it is, you're going to help them some way. You need to make sure that even at 18, 17, 18, when they come into it, they got good credit. Their credit is right, and they understand that credit is important. Now, if they don't understand, what do? You on your own. You figure it out. That's what a lot of times that happen. But you know at the end of the game, end of the day, you're going to have to be the one. A lot of times step in. So we try to make sure that the young folks, young people, Darvin's son bought a brand new Jeep, didn't sign his name on there, he used his business. How old he was, 18, 19?
He was 19 years old.
19 years old.
Yeah.
And they say so really people tell you, even when you go into different, this is the issue when you're talking about other agencies. I've listened to different briefings, people say stuff. A lot of times what people don't know, they'll tell you just like they do know. So people follow them wrong instructions. So we had a gentleman that had a business, and the business that he was doing business with his line of credit, getting loans and different things, it closed down. They couldn't find it. And they kept saying for years, it come up. So you get in the right circle. I said, no, you call this person, you call your lawyer, this is going to do. So some things is up at this level here. People don't use your credit. They ain't going to just take that stuff off right away sometimes. You got to do some different things. So that's why you got to make sure that you understand what you can and can't do, number one. Number two, like you said, when you got a younger person, their credit is, what we say, more important, almost just as important, because they don't have the resources and money that you have to go out and pay for this and that. They gonna have to need, and credit is for buying, guys. So a couple people think that we tell folks to go get their credit, and they act like we tell them to get the money and close and then skip town. That's not what we teach them.
Like it's a lick.
We talking about, so
I got a good lick for you.
Yeah, we
Capital One.
Yeah, and that's the way they try to talk, and like that's all we teach them. We teach. This is what we teaching. If you got something you want to teach, get your podcast. Teach what you want to teach. We're teaching your credit should be used to buy assets, not bubble gum, not no boat that you're gonna go just ride and you got 10 kids buying a boat, and that's literally what happened. So we want to make sure that you understand that, and let the people know this ain't no game where you're trying to run game, get you some money and skip town. Because the first wave of money you get, it may seem like a lot to some people, but it's more money there. You keep going, you keep understanding, versus having $100,000, $50,000, you got $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 access to. Then you start to do, people doing home, they're doing they're doing all kind of things. So credit is important, like Darvin said. And I've seen people credit that was tore from the floor up. And it just take time. And then nothing that you can't be fixed.
Yeah. Another way that you can help your children now too is you can add them to your accounts. Open them up bank accounts.
Make sure you pay it though.
Oh yeah, you definitely got to make sure you pay it. So you want to add them to a good account, But you can start their history off. And Darvin, I know you got a couple of tips on how we can truly set our children up for success as we come along.
Yeah, hey man, y'all dropping some jewels, man. Y'all coaching me today. You feel me? But yeah, with the youth, let's make sure, when they hit 18 that we help them build their stuff to the next level. I think it's important, and we should have those conversations with them. Like the pastor said, they not, privy to making sure they make them payments on time. So it's really our obligation to check with them and just make sure we helping them manage that out. Now, when my son was 19, he had, that's what the pastor was mentioning, he had, 2 vehicles in his business name, right, that he didn't even have to sign, he didn't have to, personally guarantee it, right? He also had approximately $200,000 worth of available credit to deploy into certain investments or assets. And so if he can do it at 18, 19, then so can your children do it at 18, 19. So can you do it at whatever age you are. You just have to put the plan together. You just have to follow the set of instructions that we give you guys, right? And one thing I like to say is this, this is one of my favorite sayings, that it's okay to copycat as long as you copy the right cat. So, take the information that we're giving you and, use this, use this first. Don't try to mix your stuff with it or add this to it. Use the principles that we're giving you and watch it start working. And if you want to switch up after you got you that 400,000 or 500,000 like Pastor talking about, at least you got to a place where you can really, see it working. And to Rob's point about the authorized users, we should be setting our kids up that way. So if Rob got a credit card that's $10,000 and, he's been paying it on time for years, when you put that on your child's report once they turn 18, or anybody's report, that's going to help build their credit profile. Now, of course, if Rob was late on his, then his kid is late on theirs, or whoever he added it, they're late. So when you add those, just make sure that it's no late. And then the other thing about adding a person is this, that if Rob has a $10,000 credit card and he adds you on it, he can't be using more than 10% of that card. If he's using more than 10% of that card, it's going to affect your credit in a negative way. Because I see a lot of people, they take half of what we say, they add the authorized users, but you added a $5,000 card, but the dude using $5,000. So that's not helping you. So we got to be mindful of that, but of course. And then one more thing in that's important. A lot of people are saying secure credit cards. Even some of the credit repair companies, they're telling you to throw that secure card on your report, because what can happen is it can help to score some, but it's not a great tactic. And they do that because most of us are only score driven. If we see a little increase in our score, we happy. But there's more to it than that. A secure card is normally when you put $500 on the card, and then now that reports on your credit report that you have this card, and we think that that's good. But what happens when you go to the bank in 6 months and you want your own card? What you want, a $500 card? Because banks match and mirror what they see on the credit report. So it's a more effective approach to ask Rob to add you on his card for $10,000. So now in 5 or 6 months when you go to the bank is most likely to match what they see. So that's a more effective strategy on getting more access. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that about more access, because this is definitely one I ventured off into, and that's co-signing. I said it doesn't make you responsible. I know that just ain't true. Co-signing does make you responsible. As a matter of fact, God, won't you just elaborate on the effects of being a co-signer to someone that you met 2 months ago? I might have been here at one time now. Let's get there. Come on with it, Coach.
Hey, man, listen, I don't like co-signing. I think co-signing is something we should all, kind of steer away from. It's more effective to just give, that person that's trying to get you to co-sign maybe some credit tips. Send them this video we doing today. And I know the pastor got all kind of co-sign stories, because, when you the man, everybody just think you're supposed to do everything for them. So pastor, why don't you get co-signing? But right now I'm saying, hey, y'all stay away from that whole thought of co-signing, because if they late on that car payment, then you late. You took out the game, pastor.
Well, you have to, this is what we're trying to say. I'm going to go back to why it's important to start early, getting the people around you coming up 2-3 years. We talked about your children. Darvin's son had $200,000 worth of access. So if he wanted to open up a business, he ain't got to cut, if he get the contract to cut Miller Park, he had to cut it with a push mower. He can go out and buy a real mower. The thing that B. Mo Harris and what they're saying in the lending institution that we have as African American, people with the melanin in our skin, it's access to capital is what holds us back. And the reason I'm saying that, if I make a $10,000 mistake tomorrow, I'm gonna be okay. If you only got $5,000 and you make a $10,000 mistake, you're going back to Sears and Roebuck and get your job. So that's why access. You don't have to use it when we're talking. Oh, I don't want to have it. I don't want to get. You need to have access to it. So those are the things we're talking about. So 3 years ago, you were working with that. Your child coming up. A lot of times too, you got to check and see, because a lot of times people want that co-signer so they can have 2 people on the hook. When they can't get it by themselves. They want you on the hook. That person may qualify. So those are the things that when you co-sign every month, I got to worry about that payment. My theory is, if I can't help you, I'd rather do this, you pay me back, it's going to be where you give me the payment, and I'm going to pay it. But co-signing, guys, like you said, that's something that, and then if your credit bad, who going to help the crew? If you the one only got good credit in the group, and they mess your credit up, so you got to make sure that you keep your stuff right and you keep your things good to go. And especially when you're talking about helping somebody, this is the best way to help in the future, so that when they're 20, 21, 22, you don't have $50,000 to give them. At least you got access. They've been working on building their business, and then they can go out there and get that. So that's why it's critical.
Yeah, I just want to touch on one thing that's important. That, as I'm consulting people, I think a lot of us are missing one thing. Like when I talk about my son with the $200,000, there's 2 types of money, right? It's installment money. If I get a $200,000 loan, I have to start paying on that loan, the interest on that $200,000 in 30 days. But if I get a $200,000 line of credit or $200,000 in credit cards, I don't make any payment until I utilize it. So one of the strategies that that we fail to exercise in a large capacity, in which I would love us to start working towards, is continuing to build the access to revolving capital, which is lines of credit and credit cards. So when an asset or an investment comes up, you're ready for it. Okay, I'm not taking away from loans. Loans are good and normally we only want to get a loan if we know an investment that it's going to go into. We don't just want to go get a loan for a loan's sake. Okay, guys. So that's very important that we do that, Pastor.
Yeah, one incident I'm going to say about co-signing. Most time people like student loans, college, they say that and don't do that. Don't do that. And a lot of times the parents are aging, and y'all know they say the majority of the time that parent winds up paying that loan back, even though the child may go get a great job making $150 a year. They don't pay that loan back. So they talk about those things there. If you're gonna do it, then you know you're gonna pay it. So and this incident happened to a friend of mine, and I told him, I said, man, I wouldn't don't. You need to look another way. And he signed it. He had to pay that money back. He's still paying for it. And he wasn't in a position to do it. So it just, are you willing to put yourself in harm's way?
With that being said, I know one of the things a while back, I had plenty debt all over the place. And so I said, okay, let's wipe this clean. Let me get a clean slate. Is bankruptcy setting you up for a clean slate?
That's a great question. Well, you got 2 types of bankruptcy. You got a Chapter 13 and a Chapter 7. I don't know which one does one, but one of them you have to pay on the debt monthly, right? The other one wipes the debt clean. Now, when it comes to the credit report, either one of them, the Chapter 13 or the 7, when you file for bankruptcy, it's still on the report, but it does not affect the scores, okay? It's neutralized when that bankruptcy word is put on the profile. But guess what though? If we send you to, we got a couple great bankers, Mr. Johnny Ferguson and we got Jamal Washington, both from U.S. Bank. If we go there, you got a bankruptcy, they still gonna see it on the credit report, even though it don't affect the score. So remember, my advice is always, if it's anything negative, whether it's affecting the score or not, whether you paid that collection or not, I advise you guys to still dispute it monthly until it's off the report, so that Johnny can't see it, Jamal can't see it, the underwriters can't see it to use it against us. Does that make sense, guys? So just because we have bankruptcy don't mean we clear. Now, bankruptcy does wipe out the debt. You know, I think our president filed bankruptcy quite a few times.
No doubt about it.
And so why did he do that? It was strategy, right? Sometimes people can use that as part of a strategy. And I'm not telling you to, because, you know, the main thing, like I said, guys, sometimes you have to. Sometimes, you know, you can't afford it, and that's the best way to go. A lot of times for bankruptcy, you know, a lot of banks don't want to lend you anything for a couple of years, or you can't get a house for a couple of years. But there are some companies right after bankruptcy that will give you a credit card or extend that to you. You just have to do the research to see which one that is, right? So bankruptcy is not all that bad, but it's all about strategy. Great question.
And you have to, the reason why you filed bankruptcy. So if I got a business, and hold up, when the millionaire guys, when them stars file bankruptcy, it ain't the bankruptcy that we do. They ain't broke. You know what I mean? So it's a different type of bankruptcy. Also, you guys really see, because sometimes people talk about credit and debt. The president, former president, he was lying so that he can get a lower interest rate. We don't talk about the interest rate. The better your credit is, the lower cost you have, the lower your car loans, you know. All that stuff is imperative. Insurance, jobs now, everything, everybody's pulling your credit report to rent a house. Those are things that are taken in consideration. So that's why you gotta look and see is that, why am I using this? Then when people come to us, I don't tell nobody to file bankruptcy or not. Now I'll look at it and say, hey man, I don't think you got enough. But sometimes people just trying to get a clean slate. You can start paying this thing off in 6 months and a year. But I've seen folks in 3 years buy a house that filed bankrupt. Because I got divorced. This is what happened. They can explain what happened. And it was a legitimate reason. I just didn't go get $1 million worth of stuff and filed bankruptcy and walked away. It was literally, hey, I got divorced, I lost a job. So those are things that, if you can explain, guys, and this is something that's not on the credit piece. The majority of the time, and Johnny can tell you this, every lender ain't a lender. Every loan officer, every doctor ain't a good doctor. Y'all hear? He may be he may have got a D in that class. Okay? Now, it's a lot of lenders out there. I don't go to every lender, because when you got a lender come back and say, no, we couldn't prove it. Why? Now, I'm going to say this. I've dealt with Johnny. I send people in because I know he knows what the lender is looking for. Some lenders just do the paperwork and send it down there. They don't ask no questions, all of those things. Because I know it's loans that people get denied over here, they get approved because the person explained, they sit there and they sit down. And what we say is that before you go and apply for a loan, you shouldn't be crossing your toes and fingers sitting there. You should know, one, what do the bank look for? What's the criteria? Do I meet the criteria? That's what I do. Before I even go in there, I want to know what are the criteria, what do I need to do to get this thing through? You shouldn't go and apply for no loan. That's our problem. We'll go in there and the man has to tell us what you'll break it down, help fill. The application should be already filled out. That information, you shouldn't be adding up nothing to his desk. So those are things that you should be prepped. These are prep meetings, so when you walk in there, it ain't no gamble. This ain't part of Waterman.
No.
You know?
As a matter of fact, you may want to have a couple files, you know, already in the cut. for different loans. As a matter of fact, they say a high credit score guarantees approval.
Yeah, and so, and that's a great question. I want to tie that into a couple other things that was just mentioned. I always say this. I try to get this in our mind that, remember, guys, what one bank won't do, the next one will. Can we say that together? What one bank won't do, the next one will. Okay, because just because, maybe they program wasn't right for you. You know what I mean? It didn't work for you. Yeah, I had people that had 800 credit scores that got denied, and you would think, hey, I want that 800, it gets me there. But no, not at that bank. Not if you're going to get this product. It don't line up, right? So you have to be savvy about, like you said, what kind of product we looking for. I got truckers that never been in the game before, but you driving trucks now, or you want to get a truck, and you're going to the bank trying to get a $100,000 loan, but your profile don't dictate that. You went and asked for $100,000 when you really could have went to 3 banks and asked for $33,000. But now your dreams got killed because you misunderstood really what you was trying to do and trying to go get, right? One more thing is this, guys, that I definitely want us to understand is that if you paying interest on a credit card, then you don't know how credit works. I'm going to say that again. If you're paying interest on a credit card, you really don't understand how credit works. You're giving away money. Why? Because banks are giving away 0% interest. Did we know that? So if you got a credit card right now and you paying interest on it, you should be going to U.S. Bank and getting a personal business credit card that got a 0% introductory, right? And you transfer that balance over. Now everything you paying every month is going straight to principal. Because most of the time, if you paying interest on the credit card, that's the grand giveaway. You're giving away money. All right. So remember this. I want y'all to say this with me, guys. If you paying interest on a credit card, you don't know how credit works. Let's say that. If you're paying interest on a credit card, you don't know how credit works. Is that fair, guys? Y'all understand what I just said? Okay, Rob, that question again was that, can you repeat that question?
A high credit score guarantees approval.
Yeah, and I kind of handled that, and it does not. Yeah. Of course, you got some banks that will approve you at 600. Most banks like 680 or better, right? But the better the score, in a lot of cases, the better the interest rate. And this is why we want to kind of keep our scores as high as possible.
Before we get off the personal credit mix, it's one on here that I know as a mortgage broker, the client will come in and they would say, well, I pay my utilities on time, all the time. I got my cell phone bill, and this should be doing it. And this right here said, paying utilities on time boosts your credit score. Is that true, Coach?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Man, I'm so glad We Energies don't report no more. Y'all don't know what, man. Because, we laugh, man, but We Energies was killing our people. Y'all couldn't go get no real money. Y'all couldn't go get interest rates because, maybe you can handle it in the summertime. But when that winter bill hit, man, it was 700, 800, 900. Now it wiped us out. But they stopped that a couple years ago, which was great. Most utilities don't. Some people think my telephone bill, right? That's a utility. My cell phone bill reports, and it don't. And you probably shouldn't want utilities to report anyway. Now, what's been going on lately is a lot of the credit monitoring sites. If you sign up for credit monitoring, they've been kind of soliciting y'all to say, hey, you want to get your utilities reported, right? So now you say, yeah, I want to report it. Now they start reporting utilities. I don't recommend it for a couple of reasons. Because utilities is not necessarily a stable thing for us as a people, for one. And then for two, the way it shows up on the credit report. So I look at hundreds of credit reports a week. It does not show up as an installment or a revolving account, which kind of disrupts the algorithm. Also, I also seen it show up as in a collection status, right? As a collection almost, because the algorithm don't really know how to pick it up. So I don't recommend, guys, make a long story short, if those credit monitoring sites ask you to report utilities, don't do it. Okay, great question, Rob.
You know, that was the personal section. We're gonna move on to the business credit mix.
Anybody got any questions? I think.
Do you want to go with questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some questions. Okay. We got my main man Polo, the DJ. He do a whole lot, so I don't want to just say DJ engineer. Good dude, Polo.
What's the difference between the billing date and it's another date, the report date, and how important is it to know both of them with your credit?
Well,
Hey, Polo trying to kick some science on us today. Man, that's a great question, Polo. Let me give you a story, guys, to handle that. I had this dentist, right? And he paid everything on time. His scores was always right around 620. And he paid everything in full every month for the last 4 or 5 years. He should have had an 800 credit score. The reason he didn't is just what Polo was talking about now. When I looked at his profile, so remember, for years, he got a 620, which means he's paying higher interest on his $600,000 house. He paying higher interest on his loans because he don't have that 750, 800. His only problem was this. He had credit cards because he had businesses and he was using those credit cards. He paid them in full, but the credit cards reported on the 20th of every month whatever his balance was. Okay, that's the date. That's the report date. Okay, the date they reported to the credit bureaus. But he always paid it in full, guys, on the 25th of every month. Right? He paid all his bills on the 25th. That's what he'd been doing for years. And so all we did with that dentist was this. We changed his payment dates from the 25th to the 17th of every month. Now his score is 800 all of the time, just from a shift, right? In making payments. Because when he was paying on the 25th, the algorithm, remember, 30% of your credit score is how much you're using on your credit cards. That's 30% of your score. That can fluctuate and adjust your score just like that. So to have the best score, make sure, guys, that you're paying that stuff on the report date and not just the due date, because it affects the profile. Great question, Polo. Great question. Anybody else got a question? Come on over here, brother. Can you come on in the camera just a little bit? We want to see, you know. Yeah, there we go.
Hey, I'm Tone anyway. My buddy here, Polo, invited me. I'm glad he did. And I'm just sitting here, right? My credit score is 792, right? Just checked a minute ago, right? So I got a Macy's card, right? Ring I saw, I said, so I got the ring. And they gave me a $7,000 limit, right? So I had a move that I was going, I said, interest free, right? So I'm gonna use this money to, make some more money. So I pretty much maxed the card out. But I just checked my credit score right now. It went to a 680.
Yeah.
So, and then that it tells you what to do. You know what I'm saying? Increase your limit on there. I just asked for an increase on one of them right away. But it's telling me what to do. But I heard something about like shifting to pay that, to shift, to kind of offset that some kind of way. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, man, I thank you for expressing that and letting us know. Because sometimes, man, they say that, we don't talk about money in the black family. And that's why we don't know nothing about money. Because we keep everything, under wraps.
Hey, that's all my son talk about.
Yeah, he talk about money.
he called me a day about the money.
Yeah. So brother, in your case, this is the other thing, right, guys, that we need to have more access. Because he has 7K. I don't know what other cars he got, but just for the sake of the story, let's just say that his total credit cards is only $7,000, right? And if he used a whole 7, it's automatically going to tank the score. So one of the things he's supposed to do, remember, and this is why I always tell you guys, my son had 200. Because if he got 200, if he used 20, it ain't going to affect his score because that's only 10%. If he got $7,000 and he using the $7,000, he's using 100%. He right? And a lot of banks don't want to give you money if you over 30%. If you got 10%, you got a better score. The best place is 1 to 3%. So as soon as he paid that $7,000, his score gonna shoot right back up on the report date, right? Now his what he should be doing now is, like you said, getting more access. So when he uses it, it don't affect him as much. And then since we were trying to go into business credit, but not right now, we're gonna ask some personal questions. But the other thing is this, is that on the business side, we got to start thinking, guys, he need to be pushing his revolving credit on the business side. He can use that all day long, right? And it's not affecting his personal score. So that 700, that 790 he would have had would always stay there, right? Because he's using it over there. So now he can go and get money without having to wait. We understand, guys? Got another question? Yes, my wife got a question there. Well, if you don't have a credit card, then you messing up. Reason being is because credit cards is what? 30% of the overall score. So what she should be doing is, we talked about it, not getting a secure card. She should be adding herself onto somebody's card as an authorized user. That's her next step, and then she go out and get her own card later, but making sure that she don't have any negative things on the credit report. We got another question, guys?
Hold on a minute.
All right, Pastor.
I want to say this, guys, as I look around the room. Here I think what the main issue is that we'll get enough information. We don't value the knowledge or the understanding, because even though Darvin answered his question, it's 1,000 questions he didn't answer. If I ain't going to buy nothing or buy no house or no car, I don't care if it's 680. I don't care. I don't care if it's 620. If I need to make a move and it's gonna make me some money, it ain't. I don't care if it's 620, because I ain't got nothing in my plan to go buy no car or nothing. So I let it drop. Then when I get ready, I can say, okay, now I'm going to buy this car. I'm going to make a move. I got this going on. Then I can go pay that down. Because when you sit down on paper, guys, you have to sit down there and evaluate what's the best move. Because this move may not be my best move, but it might be your best move at the time. So if here's a 680, are you going to do anything with it? Right? The best time to plant a tree is when? That's right. And the next best time is now. So he should have been getting them credit increases when he was in the 700s. So the program that Darvin runs and things, they're automatically remind you, because you forget, you going back, hey, can you increase it? You're doing that. So those are the things why we need to say, okay, I'm coming to get it now, but the money I'm paying is worth it because I'm doing this here. If you ain't doing nothing, ain't looking at doing that with your credit, mine will drop to 650 or whatever. But if I ain't doing that, I don't care. But when I get ready to make a move, I'm ready. I can start moving things around.
That's going to take us right into the business side, too.
I'll tell you, there's some questions, though, partner.
Oh, we got some more questions?
Yeah.
These bosses, these
hey, we got a couple questions, man. The people is excited.
Up in here, man.
Let's deal with these questions.
Come on with it.
Polo, you asked one. We're going to go with Miss Shay first. We're going to come back. Okay, come on, Polo.
How soon before you make your move should you address the change in the credit? Like when you say, if my stuff's 620, unless I'm about to make a move, of course, what's a safe amount of time to address it so that you can make that move?
You look at your report date. So my report date is the 15th, and the 15th and just passed. I'm gonna know. I gotta look at all my cards, and I say, okay, what's my next card that I can pay down and get that balance down? So, yeah. So if my credit card due on the 22nd or the 23rd, you pay it down on the 24th, 25th, that score should go right back up after the report date, because they're gonna report. You got the report date.
Yeah,
it's chestnut checkers.
Yes, chestnut checkers. And then remember too, guys, it's all strategy. We should be having a program where, and like Pastor said, that was a great point. Before the young man used that 7, he should have been asking for increases before that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all strategy. We should always have a strategy on when we're going to ask for money to increase, not loans, We talking lines of credit and credit cards. It should be a strategy. Like my students and clients, every 4 to 5 months, we already know we're going to ask for more in a strategic way. Now remember too, increases may not be the best strategy. It depends on the bank, right? Some banks pull 3 increase for one ask. You know, you want to go to a bank that only pull 1. But the difference between an increase, going to get an increase versus going to get a new card is this. In most cases, an increase ain't going to give you 0%. So why would you get an increase for 20 to 23% when you can go to US Bank or another bank and get 0%, which is more effective, a more effective strategy and a better way to utilize capital. So it's always thinking instead of just it being impulsive and just doing. And so like the pastor said, of course, we're giving away nuggets, but I'm a strategist. And so humbly, we're going to be teaching monthly, but you guys are supposed to be connected with me. Let's figure out how we can work together so we can come up with an ultimate plan, because it's chess and not checkers. It's strategy.
So here's what I'm going to say. So if I got a card I've been had 23 years, and I got my average years 16 years, I go get a new card, then that could affect my average year now because I got a brand new card. So those are all the things guys, that you have to begin to look at. And people ask you a question. That's one thing I like about the Big Six and what we do is I'm gonna ask you some questions because I can't make it like that girl that came in on Facebook. Really, we didn't really answer her question because we can't. It takes what do you got, what's your credit score now, have you ever had credit? Because people will come with us, get in the program, guys, and say, hey, I want to be able to get some money this average time, okay, and then they have a dead body on their credit report.
Yeah, I know.
A dead body.
You know all about that there.
Yeah, so hey, look, man, let me see everything.
That's right.
Sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
and what happened is people don't listen. They go out, once they get the, man, they'll go out, start doing stuff on their own, and after a while, Darvin be like, "You're a nice guy." Hey, man, forget this. Because you can't, because you're trying to do something. They'll think they're smart. Getting a Macy's card, we don't do Macy's. We don't do them, and I know Macy's to do where you're going to pay it off and all that. But you go get that card from US Bank, or you get that card from da-da-da.
Yeah, store cards. We try to stay away from store cards. You know, because a few things, and most of the time store cards don't give you 0%, some do, or just, you know, the light introductory, but you may as well go to a major bank to get the card, because also the major banks, you know, the limits can be higher. They got, you know, and you're going to be building more relationships with them. They have more than one type of card. You know, well, I got this card for a few months, now I'm going to get the other one. Shay, you had a question.
Like credit cards that close.
Credit cards that close.
So I have people, you know, I could fix your credit, I can get that. I can totally remove that account. Is that true?
So is it true that you can get a closed account removed? Is that the question? Can you get an account removed? Yeah, so somebody answer that for me. Yeah. Tasha, can you get a closed account removed?
Absolutely.
Because why? Remember, guys, you can get any account removed, whether it's a negative account, whether it's a positive account. I need us to understand that because it helps us understand more or get to another level. Anything can be removed from the credit report. Let's say that together, guys. Anything can be removed from the credit report. And how? Simply by disputing it every 30 days until it's gone. That's the simplest way to look at it. The bureaus, if you dispute something, they're going to say, hey, no, man, take it up with that company. We're not going to remove it for 7 years. That's how long it's going to be on the report. What do I want you to do, Tasha, if that happens? If they say we ain't going to remove it, it's going to stay on for 7 years, she get to thinking. What you going to do, Tasha?
I'm going to dispute it in 30 days.
You're going to dispute it every 30 days. Is that right? They try to throw us off. They got a set of letters that they just going to use and say, hey, you know, to make you stand down, because they sound like the government agency. You know, when I looked up the credit bureaus, their psychology was the name they named bureau, so you think it's a government agency. So when they send you a letter in the mail, we automatically standing down. We scared, right? They just a company, man, that process data. Y'all understand? So every 30 days, it ain't rocket science. Dispute until it's gone. Otherwise, you're gonna pay more either way it go. Is that what we trying to do? I sure hope not. Was it another question? All right, Brother Fred.
So you mentioned earlier being transparent. So fortunately my credit is like 8 something right now, a little over 8. But I have some loan balances that I'm paying down, and so that I'm going to be paying off soon. But then is that going to reflect as like a closed account, as you're saying? Is that going to reflect negatively against my credit report or credit score?
That's a great question, Fred. So like, when paying loans off are okay. So remember, because if you're paying a loan off, it's not going to affect you negatively, but payment history is one of the biggest factors. If you pay the loan off, you just don't get any more points for payment history, right? But it still looks good when you're going to get another loan and, hey, this is paid off. Now, Fred, your profile is more advanced, meaning you have multiple accounts, probably 7, 10, 15 accounts. So paying that loan off won't affect you in a negative way at all. And let me be clear, paying a loan won't affect anybody negatively. Continuously paying the loan just helps you continue to get points because you're paying every month with payment history. I hope that makes sense, guys. So remember, you always want to have, let me say this too, we should always minimally have 4 to 6 accounts reporting. That's really the main factor, because the credit profile needs to score. So let's say, for instance, Fred got an 800 today. Congratulations, Mr. Fred. If Fred closed out his loans and he closed out all his credit cards, paid his house off, in a couple years, Fred really ain't gonna have no score, ain't gonna have no credit. Is that right? Because what the banks is looking at, not what he did 4 or 5 years ago, what he's doing now, what he's been doing the last couple of years. Does that make sense, guys? You know, so any other questions in this round? Hey, y'all ready today?
How do you determine what lines of credit report to what bureaus, and how important is it that they report to all, if any of them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Most companies report.
He'd like me to answer his question.
Okay, go ahead, Pastor. Pastor, go ahead, Pastor. No, listen. Most all companies' credit cards, loans report to all of the credit bureaus, right? Now, we're in Wisconsin. Wisconsin primarily is a TransUnion state, right? I stay in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia is a Equifax state. Right over there in California is primarily an Experian state. What does that mean? So if you guys go open a bank account, a personal account here in Milwaukee, they're gonna pretty much pull your TransUnion credit report. Y'all follow me? In Atlanta, if I go and open up a personal account or open up a personal account at the bank, they're going to pull my Equifax report. Now, there are some companies like Capital One. I personally don't like Capital One. Somebody say, why, Coach?
Why, Coach?
Because Capital One pulls 3 credit reports just for 1 card. So why would I send Law, if I'm his advisor, and say, okay, Law, go there and let's see what Capital One do for you? No, I'm going to say, okay, to your point again, hey, Law, go to American Express that pull from Experian, right? Go to Pentagon Federal Credit Union that pull from Equifax. You follow me? And go over to this other bank that pulls from TransUnion. Now he got 3 pulls. He got 3 different banks for the price of 1. Y'all follow me? So this whole thing is strategy, guys. Whole thing is strategy. Fred, I seen that hand go up.
The other question I have for you, currently my son is 17, he'll be 18 in May. Mm-hmm. And so the thing you were mentioning about getting your son established beforehand, how early do you get them started at 17, or are you waiting till they turn 18?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can't get a credit report until you're 18 years old. Right? You can't get a credit report till you're 18. That don't mean you can't put your kid on the car 17, but it's not going to do anything until they get 18. So I always advise to just wait until they're 18. Then you can put them on that card, and then they'll get all of that credibility. So you really can't start building credit until you're 18. But if you put an 18-year-old on a card that you have for 10 years, they will get 10 years history.
So, Darvin, let me ask this question. If Fred goes out and open up a company in his name, his son is 16, 15, and then when he turned 18, Fred turns the company over. President of the company assigned his son. Can his son get some money then?
Yeah, that's the business is his son's. That credibility of the business is his son, similar to the authorized user. Him paying all of that on time for 10 years, and then he handed over to the son. So same principle. But yes, sir.
So would you say Fred behind?
Huh?
And y'all think I'm joking? I think he behind.
He behind. Yeah, meaning he should have been starting to build a profile. And we talk about that.
For a business, yeah.
Yeah, we talk about, guys, thanks, Pastor, for putting me back on point, that, we should be building our businesses for our children now. So when they hit 18, we can say, here you go. That's what the pastor is saying to us, right? Because we can build those profiles to have excellent credit. And now when they turn 18, we also can build their personal file, so now that those can collaborate together, so we can send them off the right way. Okay, brother, you can yell it out if you want to. I see that hand keep going up over there. Yeah, and that's something that we go ahead, bro.
I did, thinking that I was doing something smart. I actually found out it was stupid. I'm like, well, this little Macy's card ain't gonna matter. That, you know what I'm saying? Instead, what I'm hearing is I could use my business credit to do that.
100%. And then you didn't do nothing crazy. Sometimes we just got to learn. But what you could do is you could balance transfer. If you got some money on the business side, just balance transfer that American Express over there. You right back in the game, my brother. Yeah, that's a simple fix right there. And so another thing, since he did American Express, I know we ain't supposed to tell all the secrets, but American Express, guys, why we like American Express? Somebody say, Coach, why do we like American Express? Because with American Express, once you in the family and you ask for some more money, they don't pull your credit no more. So if you got an American Express card right now, and you ask American Express for another card, they won't pull an inquiry. All right, they're one of the only companies that do that. So this is why everything is strategy, right, guys? I don't want y'all to just go do a whole bunch of American Express, because like Pastor said, it's reasons why we do certain things. Y'all follow me? Because just because they don't pull an inquiry don't mean, like Pastor said, it's a new account now, but it still affect average age, right? But maybe if it's on the business side, it's more better than the personal. So we have to ask certain questions to make sure we strategically, right, guys, making the best decision. Mr. Mark Wade, man, thank you for coming and joining us today, brother. You got a question for us?
Yes. Well, what do you mean pull another card or ask for another card? What does that mean? Like, if I got a credit card from American Express, why would I ask them for another card?
It's a great question. Because, like, Mark, what we talked about was having access was important. It's a couple reasons why. Because some people may only have $20,000 worth of available credit, and maybe they want to have $30,000 or $40,000 worth of available credit. Because what happens sometimes is the amount of money that we use on the credit card can actually affect our scores. So the more money that we have, right, the less effect it will be on our credit score if we use it. And then another great reason why, right, Mark, is because that American Express Mark he probably had it for 30 years. But 9 times out of 10, that card Mark have may not be 0% interest. And if Mark is going to be potentially deploying or using money, he want to make sure he ain't giving it away. If it's 0% interest, it's a more effective way to use that money.
Mark been had that card so long. It ain't American Express, it's a Colony Express. So, listen up. I want to.
We got one more. Can we get one more question in, Pastor?
I'm going to answer when you were talking about Fred. So Fred, your son is 15. You got the business. It's been 3 years, 2 years. So now he can go do this here, right? So what we do is, he goes out and he want to build his credit, or he buying stuff, not necessarily building his credit. We normally start, everybody, majority of us start our business with our own money. We put stuff in our own name. We start out wrong, And a lot of times what I see when I'm mentoring or whatever, we have to start out, we have to break everything back down and start back over again. Paperwork wise, we got money over here, we doing this out your check. So you really want to keep as much, like Darvin said, Coach said, keep with your son all his anything he even got to start spending. It's over here in the business versus on your personal credit card. Your personal credit card.
I just want to say that most of the questions that are coming are geared toward business credit. You know, it looked like that we got a number of business owners, and we got some great questions or credit myths that business owners be participating in and thinking they got. I really want to delve into that because I've been a victim of it too. Getting in the game. You know, fortunately though, I had good folks around me that knew what they was talking about. It was the right cat, you know what I mean? So one of the first things is, I'm just gonna jump this out here, and it's tying in with everything we're talking about now. Your personal credit doesn't affect your business credit. Is that true, sir?
Yeah, so great question, because now that's something that we all kind of get messed up. Like I get a lot of people got bad personal credit and say, hey man, I just want to get my business credit together so I can get some money like over here. But the problem is most banks, they're going to look at the personal profile to dictate what they're going to give you in the business, right? So that's a misconception. Now, does the personal credit affect the business credit? No, meaning that you can go get business lines and business things. Like this is why I tell you, get some business credit cards and you can use them. Does that affect your personal credit, guys? Yes or no?
No.
Meaning if you got a $20,000 business card and you got an 800 personal credit score, if you use that $20,000 business card, will it affect your 800 credit score? Yes or no? No. But if you got a $20,000 personal credit card and you use it on your personal credit report, is it going to affect your personal credit score? Yes or no?
Yes.
Y'all follow what I'm saying? So they have a correlation. You just got to understand how it works, right? Polo. So most of the time on the business side, we're going to be personally guaranteeing. Okay, guys, you know, I was this fan of what they call non-PG for some years, but it kind of reminds me of the straw man game. It's the wrong road because you only can get so far. You're only going to be able to get so much dust. You're going to personally guarantee most all business access. Most of the money, unless you're making millions of dollars, then there's some ways that, you know, it's not personally guaranteed, so to speak, but they're going to look at the personal profile. Y'all follow me? They're going to look at they're going to get your social security number and they're going to look at it. There are some, like when you building the business profile, yeah, you can go get, you know, Uline, Granger, Seeding, some Home Depot, some Lowe's without giving your social security number. But you only getting so far. You can't go get no U.S. Bank. You can't go get no Wells Fargo. You can't go get no Chase money without personally guaranteeing. We understand? Let's not get tricked into that bag.
All right. Well, we can keep it moving. They say a lot of new businesses can't get credit. Is that true? I see a number of business owners out here. I'm pretty sure when you first went into the bank to get you some money, how did it go?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put my main man Johnny. He with his grandbaby. His grandbaby went to sleep on him. But Johnny, you know, me and Johnny, we've been doing. Man, Johnny is a great banker at U.S. Bank. We've been doing a lot of business and a lot of things together. And Johnny, how many new businesses I probably sent you in the last year?
The last year you sent a lot of people, man. If I had to guess, I would say last year is 365 days, so maybe 100.
Yeah, and so Johnny, out of those 100 people, did most of them get money from you as a new business?
All of them got money.
So does that answer the question? So new businesses can get money as long as you set up right, as long as you're asking the right questions and getting the right products. Right? So to answer that question, yes, new businesses can get access. Do all banks give new businesses money? No. A lot of us are under the impression that you got to be 2 years in business to do this and that. Yeah, those are certain products and certain programs, but you can get new businesses can get money. Rob?
Okay. Here goes some. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Come on now, we got a follow-up question.
I'm sorry. So Johnny, of the new businesses, I guess my first question is, I just immediately go to the definition of a new business. But if you can give us some examples of new businesses and, you know, what they were able to secure, how long they had been in business, what was their niche or their market or their product?
Johnny, you want to handle that? These new businesses. I'm gonna answer this question. It could be a couple of weeks old, 30 days old. You can go ahead with the rest there, Johnny.
Okay, so I mean it's a lot that goes into it, and Darvin and Pastor Pyles, you know, they kind of touched on a lot of this stuff. It depends on, so certain banks got different industries that they really like. Right, so U.S. Bank is
no marijuana industry,
not at all. Right, so there's some industries that's tough for like U.S. Bank when it comes to the business front. And I heard you say something about like trucking companies. Trucking companies are a little bit more challenging to get, you know, business lending and stuff like that. Right, but depending on the industry that you're in, if the bank like it, you know, they're willing to do some business for you. And then even if it's under 2 years, now over 2 years, and you got good scores and good credit history, we almost good to go with that, right? Sometimes without no income verification at all. But under 2 years, we can still do some of those business loans. Sometimes it might have to go through like an SBA type deal, but we can still get those things done. So it really just depends on the industry. Well, I mean, they like real estate. They like restaurants. I mean, it's a lot. Just some offhand that we kind of leery of is trucking, because it's, you know, when you get paid, you're getting paid based off of mileage and stuff like that. So you got to be a little bit more creative on how you do those businesses. But for the most part, there's not a business that I really had that much. Say it again. Yeah, we do childcare. Now, assisted living is a little bit more challenging as well, right? So,
and you know, we have to premeditate, not necessarily premeditate, but before we go to the bank, like Pastor said, have your paperwork ready. And if you know, like Ed, he got a trucking company, and if he want to get in the U.S. Bank, I might say, hey Ed, you know, you may need to form another company, you know, maybe some other type of company, so that you can get access, and maybe that access he can use to deploy in other ways. We just have to start understanding how to be creative, because you only got one social security number, but you can have 10 EINs. Pastor?
Here's what you pay for, guys, and I'm telling y'all guys this. I don't get no cut, but what she's asking, Darvin, people go out. A lot of the people that fix your credit and all that, they don't do this. They go, Darvin comes into town. He gonna visit about 4 or 5 banks. He asked her what their cut sheet.
Their criteria.
Their criteria. What do you look at, right? Even with McDonald's, all that, there's some people don't want to loan money to churches. There's some people don't like doing this. When I go to the real estate, they don't like PNC Bank. They was in the building, wouldn't give the guy a loan. They don't do. So sometimes we're asking folks for money. They really don't want to do business with you. You got to know that. So come over here. They come back to me, they say, hey, they ask for this. I said, they really don't want, they're trying not to do you a loan. You have to know that. You have to know the language. So you ain't wasting your time. I went to Landmark and said, give me all my stuff back. I ain't give you nothing else. because the guy didn't want to do the loan. And you got to know, if I'm going to get $1 million loan, they're going to ask for a little bit more stuff. I'm getting $100,000 loan, we shouldn't be I tried to give you how many hamburgers I sell a day. I'm serious, guys. You have to have folks around. I had guys around that come back and say, well, they told me this. I said, man, they ain't gonna do that loan. They're not doing that loan, right? Let me know how that wind up. You have to know the language. There's a language that they'll tell you, we really don't want to do it. Well, come back, you need this here. Now, I know they do this loan. I know they do this loan. Man, they do that. So sometimes it's the loan officer. You got to make sure you get the right loan officer. 2, you got to know what type of business do they like dealing with.
Yeah,
that's all. That's why you have to have folks that go. I don't go to banks and ask them and do all this. You have to know which credit bureau they pull from, this and that. That's what I paid Darvin for.
And redlining.
Y'all hear what he said? That's what he paid me for, okay? The pastor paid me for this. No.
Redlining and discrimination is real. That's happening. And they, because of our color, they don't want to give us the access. So we have to strategize. We need Coach Darvin.
No, that's a good point.
That's what's happening.
Because they say redlining don't exist. Let me show you how it can, and it do. I had, a client that was African American and a client that wasn't African American that I had do an application for credit. The one that was African American, they asked him all kind of stuff. Now listen, this was an online application, but it went to what? An underwriter. And this underwriter, what did they want? Their ID. So y'all follow what I'm saying? And the brother, like Pastor said, they want to know how many hamburgers you sold a day. You follow me? And the other side, guess what? Here go the money. Didn't ask no question. Came in 15 minutes. The other one, it took about 15 or 20 days. Y'all understand? So there's ways that redlining game is still here. And just even in zip codes, right? Just because based off a zip code, they know how many people are in that area. Now, I ain't trying to take us away from it because there's ways around it, right? But we have to use more strategy. Y'all follow me?
And have a code file.
Yeah.
Our file have to be put together.
Probably.
And you have to know, guys, what rights you have. We've had folks that was declined, and we say, hey, you can write them disputed. They send it back to the thing, and they got the loan. Myself personally had a appraiser come out within the last year, appraised the house less than $1 million than it's supposed to be appraised for. Redid it to another bank. So what I'm telling you guys, we don't need to. Our stuff got to be tight. Number 2, we got to make sure that we're holding their feet to the fire, and you can do that when your stuff is right.
We got one more call coming from Facebook. Can we handle it, y'all?
No, we're not doing more Facebook calls.
He said just one more Facebook. That's what he just said to me. Okay, come on.
Okay, so this next time, she's going through cosmetology school now, but she's going to start her business, and she wanted to know, was it hard getting funding for that industry that she's in?
No, it's not hard getting funding for that industry. It's just all about making sure her personal profile is where it needs to be. And then one more thing on top of that, since we're talking about business, remember the personal need to be set up right in order to get some of the business capital. But in order to get more business capital, there are some banks that like to see a good business score, meaning you want to have, at least 4 or 5 different things reporting on that business profile. So I want us, if we're in business, guys, to make sure that we have about 4 or 5 things reporting on that profile. That's very important. Everything don't report. So be strategic about it. Hey, we got Johnny raised his hand. Hold on. If he got something to say about that, well, I think we want to hear. You need this. It's from Johnny. No, I didn't skip your question. It's the bank.
So when you say different things reporting on the business file, are you talking about a DUNS number?
Talking about a DUNS number, yes, sir.
No, that's what I was.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you have that DUNS number, that corporate experience, that business Equifax score. And the way you do that is just by strategically making sure you got things reporting. And that's where you can go to your Uline, Seton, Granger, Quill. Y'all heard about all of that stuff? Now, easy, effective way to get 4 or 5 things to report. I'm just giving up all the gems today. The easiest and most effective way, and y'all write this down, is to get nav.com, right? Because they report, it's about $50 a month. It gives you your business credit scores and reports, and it also report to the business credit bureau. That's one. Now, the next thing to do is just go ahead and get 3 or 4 gas cards. And instead of using your cash money, what I want you to do is use your gas card every time you go to the gas station and just pay it back the next week. Get 3 or 4 of those, and now guess what? You got a perfect DUNS number, you got a perfect Experian and Equifax score. I just gave y'all $1 million worth of game in 1 minute.
As a matter of fact, Coach Don,
Do you need to, okay, let's say for instance you want to get the gas cards. Do you need to pay up front or just use the business name? How would you get the gas card?
Yes, that's a great question. If you got a business, you're going to go to A to B gas. You're going to go to Shell. You're going to go to Fuel Man. Those are ones, most all gas card companies give a business gas card, and it is not a lot required. And so in most cases, and remember this, most gas cards are net 30s. What does net 30 mean, guys? Pay in 30 days. So what does a net 10 mean? Pay it in 10. So make sure you know if it's a net 10, a net 30, a net 15. All gas cards aren't net 30. So this is why it's always my advice. If you got a gas card and you use it, just make sure you're paying it every week so you're never late. Because the difference between personal and business credit is this. If you late 1 day on your business credit report, it's going to hurt you. Right? On the personal side, you can be up to 30 days late before it affects you. Not on the business side. You can't even be 1 day late. So let's just make sure we're making those payments on time if we're going to play that game. All right, Tasha, we got to get Tasha because she's been eyeballing me. I don't want to eyeball.
Look like she's finna do something to you.
But you kind of touched on it because I was gonna say people don't know in business about the DUNS and BRAD, the importance of establishing that, and then what is the relevance of the SAM.gov as it relates to business as well. So that's what I was trying to see about setting that up with your with the DUNS and BRAD.
Yeah, so SAM.gov is primarily just if you like doing government contracts and you're gonna be doing things, your SBA loans and things like that. It's always good to just be into those systems because at some time you might want to access capital and that part is already done. So remember, guys, don't fall for all the business credit building tactics. I just gave you so much game that y'all don't even understand. Nav.com reports, okay, to your business credit report. And you get your business credit scores, which you should be looking at anyway. And all you need is some gas cards. Y'all follow me? If you just want to get to that level. Does that make sense? All right.
Say, Coach Dobb, with that being said, it says paying bills on time is all that's needed for a good business credit score. Is that true?
Well, I mean, paying bills on time is always important. Normally for a business credit score, like I said, remember about 4 to 5 positive things reporting at all times, right? And yes, paying it on time, but remember too, because even if you pay on the personal side on time, does that mean if you pay everything on time? Remember that story I told you about the dentist? Did he have A1 credit when he paid on time? No. Why? Because he was using too much of his credit cards and not paying it before the report date. Right? So you want to make sure you're looking at those variables because on the business side, if you're using all of the money, it's affecting that. It can still affect that business score negatively. This is why it's always my advice too, not just one business, right, Pastor? We want to have multiple businesses. So this business we may just be using just so we can access and move money around.
I just want to just change up something, talk about nonprofit organizations. Nonprofit organizations don't have business credit scores. Is that true?
All businesses have business credit scores. Okay, all businesses have business credit scores.
I actually got a nonprofit, Life Changing Ministries, and what happened, one of the things that went on was I had to have some history to go in and talk with the bank to get the credit lines. As a matter of fact, Johnny over there, he won, but I had to have some history with that nonprofit organization. And then also, I had to show that this nonprofit was making some money, was producing. It wasn't always in the red. So tell us how we can build our nonprofit organization and get the credit we need.
Yeah, so remember, just as well as any business, nonprofits can build their credit. I told you guys how to build the business profile. Now, like Pastor said, you have to be strategic enough to see what banks lend to nonprofits, right? What are their requirements? So this is where your homework come in at. You know, what I do normally every week, I try to find 10 new banks and see what their requirements are. And then I call the banks that was on my list for 7-8 months ago, because requirements and programs and things change. So it's just really about the resources, what you have, you know, and building a relationship with bankers and relationship bankers. Brother Jamal over here from U.S. Bank, y'all make sure y'all shake his hand and ask him where the money at. He might let you know something.
Got that money.
I mean, you know, and you know, Jamal, he like coffee. He like, you know, when you go see him, you know, treat him like a person. Coffee. You know, like really, like they don't want much, they just want respect. And a lot of people don't know, like some of these brothers, Johnny, he got an award at an event we had last week, and it was so crazy. Dude made me cry. Because when I gave him that award, he didn't know he was getting it, but it was an unsung award because Johnny unsung, Jamal unsung. These brothers is in the paint giving millions of dollars to brothers. They fighting for us to get this money, and we just act like it ain't nothing, man. But when I gave him that award, I felt his spirit. Yeah. And man, I just broke out crying, man. I just kept going. I could, hey, I'm listening, Pastor.
You know, I normally buy him a suit or something, you know, that make him feel a whole lot better. But for real, guys, let me tell y'all something. This ain't got nothing to do with credit, but it is business-wise. Half of the folks, not half, probably 80-90% more people come to you. They got a profit business, but it's non-profit. Majority of people, guys, that's what you got to make sure. When you talk about this money, you got to make sure that the definition of a business is that it must sustain a portion of your lifestyle. Majority of people look at people in business and think they're making money. Some make more money on their job. You have to sit down and look at that. This ain't got to do with the class, but those are things you have to have people that's helping. We're concerned about the whole piece, because a lot of folks, majority of the people that I sit down with, they are taking money from here to keep their business going, just to say they are in business. And I say, you ain't got no business, it's a hobby.
Hobby.
It's a hobby. And if it's a hobby and you like driving the trucks all over the country, you know, then that's cool. But if you're gonna make money, guys, because, you know, we should get to a pivotal that you're not trying to get 50, 100, 10. Your level of everything should be going to the next level, right? And that's what we want everybody to understand. That's why you have to stay under the teaching, because we're not just talking about 50. We're talking about when I call up, hey man, I need to get 250, I need to get 500, I need to get, those are kind of conversations that we have so we can move things around. Because it ain't, the 5 is good and the 50 is good, but it's other levels. Like there are people that's over Johnny say, we only deal with 500. We only deal with $3 million. You don't need $3 million, we can't even go talk to them people over there. We only do $3 million. So those what we're trying to get you to, and this is the first step. If you understand this, you get to the next level.
Hey man, thanks, Pastor. Listen, guys, we ain't gonna hold y'all, but we gonna close it up. But we gonna hang around a little bit. We want a couple people to answer some questions and get on air on the podcast as well, if you can. But we ain't gonna hold y'all. But we can still, you know, collaborate and talk. I'm gonna get in the camera and talk my stuff, and Rob and Pastor gonna close us out, you know, the way we should. But I'm just gonna say, man, listen, this is the coach. If you got some negatives on that credit report, dispute every 30 days until it's gone. Build your children around you. Build those profiles. Build them a business so when they get 18, 15. Like Pastor said, they ain't got to push no lawnmower. They can go get that 0 turn. You know what I mean? We have to look at that and bring them boys to the next level of the game. And remember, we talked a lot today, but I'm a strategist. We strategize. So it makes more sense for you to call somebody like me to help you really look at what you're trying to do. And so I'm going to turn it on to Pastor for him to give a gem on his way out, and then Rob is going to close us out. But this is the coach, guys. Peace.
My thing is that you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. And these conversations should be elevated and taken back. So my thing is that we get wiser, smarter, because as the game changes, we got to change. And they net like cash and access.
Ain't it a wonderful thing to get the information that's truly gonna set you free, get you to the into the doors that you need to get into, so that you can make the way that you've been striving for? I mean, today is next level, like the pastor said. This ain't stuff you go get from your local banker necessarily. They're not going to tell you none of this. The business bankers, they're not going to tell you what to bring to the table. They're going to give you some old basics, but to get in there, you got to have your file right. And we just got a whole dose of it. Dr. Robert Pyles, he's been doing it for a while. I love him. Big Six. We study learning different strategies, and they all apply to business. And I see a lot of business owners in here, and I'm hoping that you got your questions answered, or it sparked something in you to get on the road that you've been dreaming about. Because if you don't, you're going to keep on dreaming, baby. And this is 100 Gems Podcast, y'all. Home of the champs, baby. Peace. Right.
Oh, man,